Let me tell you what else is at stake. The Iran nuclear deal. The war in Ukraine has cast a shadow on it. Talks to revive the deal have been paused. The reason is Russia. I'll explain. Russia is one of the signatories of the Iran nuclear deal. And now it is said to be holding the agreement hostage. What does Russia want? An exemption from sanctions. Russia wants to keep dealing with Iran, and for that it wants the West to give written guarantees, open a door for future transactions between Russia and Iran.
We substantively discussed the situation around the comprehensive plan on the Iran nuclear deal. We appeal for prompt revival of this agreement, which was endorsed by the United Nations resolution and based on initially projected balance of interests. We are waiting for the US to return to the legal field in this agreement, and we wait for the lifting of the illegal sanctions, which were implemented by the US to strike not only Iran and the Iranian people, but many other people.
That was Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. He met with his Iranian counterpart in Moscow yesterday. Russia wants to use the Iran deal as leverage, extract concessions in lieu of support. Now, all of this is holding up talks. Some reports say the deal may be scuttled. And that's more bad news for Joe Biden. The West has been negotiating for 11 months. They say they're close to an agreement. In fact, Europe's foreign affairs chief has hinted that a new deal is ready. It is just waiting to be signed. This is what he said. A pause in Vienna talks is needed due to external factors. A final text is essentially ready and on the table. I'm sure you know what these external factors are. That's a reference to Russia and its demands. And it's a catch-22 for the West. Easing sanctions on Russia is not an option. Letting go of the Iran deal is not an option either. So they're trying to come up with an alternative deal, one that could shut Russia from the process altogether.
We continue to believe that a mutual return to full implementation of the JCPOA is the best way to address that. But if external factors make JCPOA re-implementation impossible, we will, of course, be open to diplomatic alternatives.
We will be open to diplomatic alternatives, he says, which basically means get Russia out and lock the deal. What would that look like? Under the existing deal, Russia has two important responsibilities. A, take control of Iran's excess enriched uranium, and B, help Tehran convert the Fordo nuclear plant into a research facility. If Russia is pushed out of the deal, someone else will have to do these things. China, Britain and France are said to be the likely candidates. Reports say European diplomats are on the job. They're trying to find a way around Russian demands. But here is the biggest question. Would Iran agree to this? Does Iran want Russia out of the agreement? There is no indication that it does. In fact, Iran is blaming the United States for this delay.
We are not at a point to announce an agreement, and that is because some very key but limited matters remain which require decisions to be taken in Washington. As soon as these decisions are taken in Washington, we will have reached a point to return to Vienna and start the final round of talks to achieve a good and lasting agreement.
Russia has welcomed Iran's statement, and the statement has put America in a tough position. It doesn't want another conflict to flare up in West Asia, and for that, the deal with Tehran is necessary. The Biden administration is under a lot of pressure, both at home and abroad. On Sunday, missiles landed close to an American consulate in Iraq. Thankfully, no one was hurt. But American officials are blaming Iran for the attack. Republicans have sensed an opportunity here. 49 out of 50 Republican senators, 49 out of 50, have spoken out. And they've refused to back the new deal with Iran. The clock is ticking for Joe Biden. His choices are tough. The last thing he wants is another foreign policy defeat. And if his track record is anything to go by, that's what he will have, another defeat. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.